Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you for joining today's Global Environment Forum for University Students 2021. I'm Won-suk, the moderator of this forum. Since today's forum is being held online to prevent the spread of COVID-19, lots of people have joined us beyond national boundaries. And it's my pleasure to meet with university students around the world who are with us here right now, either through YouTube or Zoom. Then, let us first welcome the congratulatory performance. Duo of Ewha Women's University will celebrate this forum. It is a fusion traditional Korean music performance harmonized with traditional music Korean instruments known as gayagum and daegum, and Western music instrument, the violin. And they will be playing Pile Bell's Canon and Like a Mirage. Like a Mirage is an environmental song of DAEJAYON that warns the rapid desertification due to the global warming. Then please welcome Duo with a big round of applause. Wow, wow, wow! It was such an amazing performance, right? Although kayagum, daegum, and violin all have different shapes, made of different materials, and have different sounds, each instrument played its role for the song and made a great harmony. And I believe it's the same with us. There are the endless meadow, the blue sky, and the laughters of those who are living inside it. Although we are living in different environment and have different language and culture, we'll be able to achieve carbon neutrality when each of us does our best to protect the Earth at given positions. The IPCC's assessment report published in August 2021 says the climate crisis is unequivocally caused by human activities. It also warns that if the warming trend continues, then global average temperature will likely exceed 1.5 degrees of warming within next 20 years. This means that less than 20 years are left for the Earth to endure. So we have to act now. Under the slogan, "Now is the time to change for the future," more than 1,000 university students around the world will discuss the global goal of carbon neutrality. This forum aims to achieve a sustainable Earth by presenting visions and directions to university students for environmental protection. Next, environmental experts around the world have sent us messages to encourage us. So let us meet the environmental experts who have sent us messages to encourage us. Let us see the video.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, today is indeed a promising day. Not only do we celebrate the Global Environment Forum for University Students 2021, but here in the UAE, we are also celebrating the founding of our nation 50 years ago on the 2nd December 1971. We are celebrating all the wonderful achievements along our nation's proud journey, and we look forward to the next 50 years as we strive to continue to build our nation sustainably. Many of you here are university students, just about to embark on the greatest journeys of your lives, discovering who you are, what you have to offer, and how you can contribute to the building of your own nations. Believe me when I say you have much to offer. Recently, I attended Glasgow COP26, where the world met to agree on how best to avoid the worst impacts of climate change. Responses such as net zero carbon by 2050 need the youth of today with your innovation, enthusiasm, and energy for us to achieve. The world needs you to step up with your youth, your vigor, your innovative ideas. I encourage you to put your hearts and souls into making this world a better place. Start with simple ideas and actions in your homes, places of study, and local communities. But then expand your horizons, your dreams. Look to making the world better. Take your ideas and enthusiasm out into the world and show us all how we can make sustainable development a reality.
Mrs. Lee Hee-young, President of DAEJAYON, distinguished participants and university students, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor and privilege to take part in the 2021 Global Environmental Forum for University Students. The vision of achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2050 is shared by all and was indeed emphasized by the world leaders during the United Nations Climate Change Conference, the COP26, recently in the UK. However, the role of young people is instrumental in the net zero target insofar as carbon neutrality will be difficult to achieve without their contribution. Young people are not only victims of climate change, they are also valuable contributors to the fight. The unprecedented mobilization of students and other youth around the globe, and the extent to which they are scaling up their efforts and using their skills to accelerate climate action constitutes a major source of hope. I am therefore hopeful that college students representing different countries in this year's Global Environment Forum for University Students will actively engage in constructive interaction on the many challenges that are facing our planet Earth. Once again, I congratulate DAEJAYON for hosting this meaningful event, and I encourage the young participants, the leaders of tomorrow, in their efforts for climate action and the goal to achieve net zero carbon emissions by the year 2050. I wish you all a successful forum. Thank you. Kamsahamnida.
Good afternoon, distinguished participants. My name is Abdullah Saif al-Naimi. I'm the ambassador of the United Arab Emirates to the Republic of Korea. It is my great pleasure to be with you today at this important and timely forum. I take this opportunity to extend my warmest congratulations to DAEJAYON for successfully hosting this forum. The need to save the environment is a matter of collective interest. Global leaders have just met in Glasgow 3 weeks ago to renew their commitment to mitigate climate change and global warming. In my country, United Arab Emirates, diversified efforts have been made in facing the environmental and climate problem. The UAE has designed its Energy Strategy 2050 that identifies a mix of energy sources. It has also launched national renewable energy projects. A goal has been adopted to reach net zero by 2050. The UAE development model will take into account this goal and all institutions will work as one team to achieve it. In line with the international effort toward this goal, the UAE will host the COP28 Climate Summit in 2023. The active engagement of university students in saving environment at their campus or at their local communities should be encouraged and supported. Their role in climate mitigation is needed to facilitate and complement the official effort of their countries. Students' continued involvement in the issue created for them an early awareness of climate problem that will help them in the future as they assume their leadership role in their countries or local communities. I wish this forum all the success in achieving its objective. Thank you.
Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Federico Failla. I'm the Ambassador of Italy in Seoul. I'm very glad to deliver today's message to the Global Environment Forum for University Students 2021. And let me thank hereby DAEJAYON for organizing today's event. Let me say that my participation today is not out of a mere formality, but it has substantial reasons. On the one hand, a very institutional one. As you know, this year Italy put the environment at the forefront of its international action. Planet was indeed one of the three pillars of our G20 presidency, and I'm confident to say that efforts made to keep it at the center of the debates did bring some positive results. The Matera Declaration, for instance, which renewed the goal of a sustainable, resilient, and inclusive food system that will allow us to eliminate hunger by 2030. G20 states also agreed to plant 1 trillion trees globally by 2030. Finally, $100 billion a year were guaranteed to the poorest states to meet national needs to combat climate change. At the same time, we co-organized with the UK this year's COP26, holding in Milan the Youth for Climate event, which had an unprecedented success, most of all because it gave space to the youth, to the same generation that you are in, the generation that will suffer from the consequences of the climate change, to participate in the current debate. Italy opted for an inclusive approach because we believe in working together. Of course, more could have been done once all leaders meet in Glasgow, but I believe that it is a first step towards an even more ambitious cooperation. I really believe that now is the time to change, that we must act now to secure a future for the coming generations. I believe that if we act, we can achieve incredible results. Let's not wait. Let's do it now. Thank you again, and congratulations for successfully hosting this online event.
Dear viewers, students, friends, my name is Pekka Metso and I'm the ambassador of Finland here in Korea. Let me start by saying how honored I am to have the opportunity to speak to you in such an inspiring and important event. As we all know, the climate is changing rapidly. Ecosystems around the world, including forests, coral reefs, and wetlands, have been pushed to the breaking point. Air pollution is a problem in major cities worldwide. Extreme weather conditions and weather phenomena will be more common in the future. Climate change is very much here, and we need to tackle it now. Sometimes the state of our planet might seem gloomy. However, governments and actors on different levels are changing their ways and making commitments to fix the problem. Finland's goal is to be climate neutral in 2035 and the first fossil-free welfare society. To Korea, the goal is to be carbon neutral in 2050. All of us, on governmental level as well as individual level, need to be committed to the essential goals. Together we can solve global environmental problems through green and environmental and sustainable activities. We need to raise the awareness of the Net Zero 2050 and activate initiatives such as this one. The participation of the youth, all of you, is beyond essential. You are the ones who will become global environment leaders in the world. You are the instigators, the ones already actively participating and bringing change to your friends and to your communities. The world needs you now more than ever. I want to congratulate you all for taking part of the Global Environmental Forum. Now it's the time to change for the future. Be the change you want to make.
Yeah, thank you. As the experts told us, the world is in need of university students like one of us to protect our planet and save our world. Next, there will be special lectures from environmental experts. First, Bo-Gyun Shim, the head of UN Project Office on Governance, will give us a presentation under the theme, The Roles of Government, Private Sector, and Citizens to Achieve Carbon Neutrality for Sustainable Development. Please welcome him with a big round of applause.
Thank you very much. I'm Bo-Gyun Shim, head of United Nations Project Office on Governance, part of division for public institutions and digital government of UNDESA. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today's presentation will focus on the roles of government, private sector, and citizens to achieve carbon neutrality for sustainable development. The UN Secretary General's report on our common agenda presents his vision on the future of global cooperation through inclusive, networked, and effective multilateralism. The UN Secretary General has called on all states to declare a climate emergency. This requires renewed commitments or governance improvement and arrangements. As the climate crisis continues unabated with rising greenhouse gases, there is an urgent need to take action to combat climate change and its impact by shifting towards carbon neutrality. The international community has made various efforts to respond to climate change, which is worsening day by day. According to the Paris Agreement, which is a legally binding international treaty on climate change adopted by 196 parties in Paris 2015, it aims to limit global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius, preferably to 1.5 degrees Celsius, compared to pre-industrial levels. Furthermore, the Paris Agreement requires each country to prepare specific implementation plans for a carbon neutral society with zero net carbon emissions by 2050. In November 2021, in Glasgow, as you know, the climate summit COP26 was held to continue the discussion on the Paris Agreement. For the first time, parties of COP26 agreed to accelerate efforts towards the phase down of unabated coal power and inefficient fossil fuel subsidies. COP26 resulted in the completion of the Paris Agreement rulebook by establishing a global carbon market and facilitating bilateral carbon trading. The Sustainable Development Goal 13 climate action is about taking urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts. The energy transition on Goal 7 is vital to lower greenhouse gas emissions. Similarly, Goal 2, Goal 9, Goal 12, Goal 14, Goal 15 can contribute to low emission pathways while creating decent work and quality jobs and long-term progress in eradicating poverty, hunger, and improving health and gender equality. The SDGs are cross-cutting, but also interdependent. They require integrated strategies involving many ministries, civil society, and government at all levels. Countries are encouraged to integrate the SDGs into their national development strategies and plans, considering their respective levels of development and capacities. Developing the capacities of public administration systems to implement effective governance can enable achievement of all SDGs and targets. These are three key principles of effective governance to achieve carbon neutrality. One is effectiveness, two is accountability, three is inclusiveness with leaving no one behind. We have to move forward from the current statuses to these statuses on the right side. This year, climate change and carbon neutrality have been the key themes of UNPOG's activities. It was discussed at the 5th Youth Forum on SDG implementation in September, and at the session 4 during the 5th Regional Symposium in November. UNPOG is working on toolkits and handbooks on risk-informed governance and innovative technology for disaster risk reduction and resilience as well. For more information, please visit our UNPOG website. Now I'd like to introduce the role of government for carbon neutrality. The central government must maintain consistency between the international community and the policy trends. The central government must implement the global environment agenda in their respective countries. The central government should actively promote carbon neutral and green future related plans, laws, and budgets. Nationally determined contributions and this is embody efforts by each country to reduce national emissions and adapt to the impacts of climate change. Colombia aspires to be carbon neutral by 2050 and will use its indices to make that happen. With a plan to get halfway to net zero by 2030, it will green its energy system through NDC implementation agreements with the energy, agriculture, and industrial sectors. Increasing commitment to adaptation is reflected in comprehensive progress indicators integrated in national monitoring. Rwanda was the first country in Africa to revise its initial NDC with a bold goal to cut emissions by 35% by 2030. It will pursue reductions across key sectors of its economy and has set up a system of indicators to track adaptation in water, agriculture, land and forestry, human settlements, health, transport, and mining. In June 2021, the EU enacted the European Climate Law. It was which raises greenhouse gas emissions in 2030 to 55% and specifies carbon neutrality in 2050 by law. To meet the standards set out in the European Climate Law, the EU's use of fossil fuels requires a reduction of 70% for coal, 30% for oil, and 25% for gas. Then Fit for 55, a package of legislation to support the European Climate Law, was announced on July 14th, 2021. The Fit for 55 improves the unity of climate policy by coordinating carbon policies in Europe. In addition, the package includes legislation on carbon pricing, reduction targets, strengthening regulations, and the social organization fund, which is a support measure for inclusive transition. The Fit for 55 includes the introduction of a carbon border tax. A carbon border tax will be imposed on products and services imported into Europe that emit more carbon than those produced locally. It is a carbon coordination, border coordination mechanism also. These are the role of local governments. Local governments should establish their master plans related to carbon neutrality and the green future and collect, share, analyze, and utilize relevant data. They should lead by example by implementing their own campaigns, such as saving energy and reducing single-use products. They should monitor and evaluate the progress of environmental programs and campaigns. C4E is a network of mayors of nearly 100 cities collaborating to deliver the urgent action needed to confront the climate crisis. The C4E has its own climate action framework. First pillar, commitment and collaboration. Focus on the governance and coordination of the need for community, business engagement, and communications. Second pillar, challenges and opportunities. Consider the evidence-based and existing city conditions, including baseline emissions, 2050 emissions trajectory, climate risk, and socioeconomic priorities. Third pillar, acceleration and implementation. Define the transformational action and implementation action. Then what would be the role of private sector? The private sector is encouraged to consider the environmental, social, and governance factors in each step of its value chain and its management. Kofi Annan contributed to creating the PRI for investors to consider ESG issues in deciding investment portfolios. The principles for responsible investment were launched in 2006. The principles are based on the notion that ESG issues can affect the performance of investment portfolios. Why does ESG matter to companies? A robust ESG program can open up access to large pools of capital, build a stronger corporate brand, and promote sustainable long-term growth, benefiting companies and investors. ESG issues should be a top concern of corporate management and boards. For example, Signify, a Dutch multinational lighting corporation, announced achieving 100% carbon neutrality and 100% renewable electricity in September 2020. It was awarded the 2020 UN Global Climate Action Award. They reduced its carbon footprint by using more energy efficient technologies in factories. In the case of citizens, through personal change, we should be aware of the background, importance, and action plan for carbon neutrality and green future, and actively use policies, communication channels led by the central government and the local governments. For example, first, citizens can act as a watchdog by looking at whether the government's response to climate change is going in the right direction. Second, as a citizen, we can practice reducing energy consumption in our daily lives. Third, citizens can vote well and press politicians to make laws, systems, and policies for energy transition and carbon neutrality. Finally, consumers should spend money on companies that actively use renewable energy and improve energy efficiency. Youth should be involved in all levels of climate decision making. Youth need to have systematic access to national and international climate change processes and should be empowered to act as climate and sustainable development pioneers for all. For the last 5 years, UNPOG has conducted the SDG Youth Forum in collaboration with the Ministry of the Interior and Safety and Incheon City in September. As introduced earlier, this year's theme was leveraging public governance and enhancing youth engagement to promote green, resilient, sustainable recovery from COVID-19. We will organize the 6th Youth Forum on SDG implementation next year. It will be a great chance for you to raise your voice and be part of the discussion on achieving SDGs. You are all welcome to participate in it. For more information, please visit our UNPOG website. I'd like to conclude today's presentation by sharing a part of UN Secretary General's speech at COP26. We have a critical mass of global commitments to net zero from both governments and non-state actors. We need to hold each other accountable. Only together can we keep 1.5 degrees within reach and the equitable and resilient world we need. Thank you. Thank you for patience.
Yeah, thank you for an informative presentation regarding the responsibilities of stakeholders for achieving carbon neutrality. Okay, so it's now time for questions. Does anyone have a question? Let me see. Anyone with a question, can you please raise your hand? Oh, I see Sravanti. Can you please introduce yourself first and go on with your question?
Hello, my name is Shravanti. I am from India. Thank you for your presentation on achieving the goals of UN SDGs and carbon neutrality. I also learned that UNPOG is holding a forum to listen to the voices of youth to implement SDGs. I would like to ask, which SDGs goal can we, as university students, take the lead in achieving, and how we should achieve it?
No, thank you. Thank you for the good question. Yeah, I think the youth, the role of youth is very much important in SDGs, in achieving the goals of SDGs, because you are more, you will take the lead toward the future, but the older generation, the existing generation, may be engrossed in the present pressing issues. They might not have the time to think about the future. So the youth should be more conscious of the SDGs and the carbon neutrality and the climate change. You can you can be a watchdog to push the government and the political leaders to proceed with the initiative of carbon neutrality by 2050. They might neglect it. So the younger generation should watch whether the current generation is making intensive and proper efforts to realize carbon neutrality. And also, if the business sector focuses on profits and do not make relevant efforts to be carbon neutral, you can boycott the sellout of the company's products. But also, as a younger generation, also you yourself have a lot of roles and responsibilities. You need to reduce plastic and paper cups and reduce beef that generates a lot of methane gas. And it would be better if possible. You can use more public transportation instead of cars, and practice cycling and walking in your daily lives. You alone may be weak, but when you pull your strengths together, your impact will be immense. Yeah, even Sweden's Greta Thunberg has been holding a Friday's absence protest since 2018, and you are well aware that it is causing a global resonance and reverberation. You can think of it. Thank you for your good question. Excellent question.
Thank you for the great question and answer. So let us put our strengths together to show our influence. Next, Hyun-sik Choi, the Secretary General of Korea Sustainable Campus Association, will give us a presentation under the theme, One Step of University Students Toward Carbon Neutral University. Please welcome him with a big round of applause.
Hello. Again, thank you for inviting us to the International Environment Forum. I am Hyun-sik Choi, Secretary, President of the Korea Sustainable Campus Association. Then I will start the presentation.
For clear communication, I will deliver my presentation in Korean. I ask your understanding. My presentation is titled A Step of University Students Toward Carbon Neutral University. The reason why I put this topic is that there are two reasons. As previous speaker mentioned, carbon neutrality is the talk of the world and is the goal to achieve by 2050. And with this goal, universities around the world are scattered around the world, and 15 or 20% of the total carbon emissions are generated from universities. So, without the carbon neutrality at the university level, it may be hard to achieve the carbon neutrality goal. And second, university students need to take an initiative and need to actively participate and have an awareness on the environmental issues. Without those participation of university students, we cannot achieve the carbon neutrality goal by 2050. That's why I selected the title of my presentation like this. And I'd like to introduce my organization, Korea Sustainable Campus Association, which is called KSCA. KSCA was founded in October 27, 2021. It has been less than 2 months since our foundation, but we have already 135 university members. The reason is that in Korea, many universities have been working hard, and 4 groups were actively working hard for environmental issues. But they are united to deal with and address the global issues such as carbon neutrality, and it is a kind of voluntary movement of university members. So to achieve these goals, 4 Dream Campus Councils were united to become a KSCA. So we are quite new institution as a KSCA, but we have long history of joining our forces together for environmental issues. 지금 So what is the key point of the carbon neutrality? That is energy. Energy generation efficiency should be maximized, like using new technologies, and energy use should be minimized. And to this end, the penetration of the renewable energy should be increased. Compared to other countries like European countries and other countries, the CO2 emissions of Korea is very high, about 15% higher than other countries. One of the contributors is the share of renewable energy. So we need to increase the share of renewable energy at the university level to reduce the carbon emissions level. And we need to analyze the data by establishing the inventory regarding the energy source. Events related to environment are important, but the actual reduction of carbon emissions is more important. That's what I think. And we need to make an effort voluntarily, and the university's policy alone are not enough because it costs a lot for the universities to move in that direction. However, like other countries, Korea's economic situation is not that good. So we need to establish the governance that covers the private sector, government, and the public sector and academia to move and reduce the carbon emissions. And we need to provide education on the eco-friendly environmental education. How to achieve carbon neutrality and what kind of strategies should be implemented should be taught during the curriculum, during the education for the universities. And based on the kind of education, we can achieve the NDC by 2030 and carbon neutrality by 2050. That's the purpose of our association, and we expect more members to join. And there will be more activities with the university students of the member universities. Next slide, please. This slide shows the meaning of the carbon neutrality. I think the member and the participants of this forum and universities who are joining today know the definition of the carbon neutrality very well. Carbon neutrality is to achieve the net zero emissions. But human activities should generate the carbon emissions from heating and economic activities. So if we generate the carbon emissions, it is important to have a technology to capture and store the emitted carbon and to make the net zero carbon emissions. We want to achieve the carbon neutrality. So I'd like to talk about the history of the carbon neutrality declaration by 2050. In 2015, our movement started in earnest. And as you can see, in 2017, Sweden became the first country to enact the law on carbon neutrality by 2045, and the UK joined this move. And as you know, the US returned to the Paris Agreement, and China also declared the carbon neutrality by 2060. It is a very meaningful movement in the right direction. Regarding the source of greenhouse gas emissions, in Korea, only 34.4% of the carbon dioxide is coming from energy sources. But in Korea, the share amounts to over 90%. So it is related to the less distribution of the renewable energy. And my slide is coming from the UN website. You can refer to that website for more information. And Korea started to have interest in the carbon neutrality starting from 2020, and the Carbon Neutrality Commission was established to make a systemized approach to achieve that goal. And the Carbon Neutrality Commission revealed a scenario to achieve the carbon neutrality by 2050. And under the scenario, the Korean government plans to reduce the carbon emissions by 40%, which was moved and adjusted upward by 2 or 3% from the original goal. Just increasing the reduction goal by 2 or 3% has a meaning and significant meaning. And to achieve that goal, the university's role is very important. The pink box shows the scenario that was established and announced by the Carbon Neutrality Commission. And you can see the mapping of the greenhouse gas emission goals of major universities around the world. Many universities announced the carbon neutrality and carbon zero. Harvard University and London University declared the carbon zero goals, and Harvard and Cornell University declared the carbon neutrality goal to be achieved by 2030 and 2045. And you can see the progress of each university. You can see other universities who joined this movement and declared the greenhouse gas reduction goals. It's a little bit shameful for Koreans because few universities in Korea declared the carbon neutrality and the carbon and greenhouse gas reduction goals. Seoul National University did not declare any goal regarding the carbon reductions. In this regard, I think Korean universities need to make more effort. And there are many universities which consumed a lot of energy in Korea. And this slide shows the number of universities which use a lot of energy. And the number of universities, energy incentive universities, increased significantly. And this slide shows that the construction of the universities accounts for 20% of the total carbon emissions from building. So universities are the main contributor to the greenhouse gas emissions in the construction sector. So without the participation of the universities, it may be hard and challenging for us to achieve the net zero by 2050. In Korea, many people are working hard to achieve the carbon neutrality goal, and there are activities called Green Leader Activities and Idea Competition Award. And Idea Competition Award are held to gather many good and innovative ideas. So I'd like to share with you some data regarding the idea competition. The first idea that was came up with from university student was using the summer school or winter school. The second idea is related to making the carbon neutrality certificate. So energy savings and the carbon emission reduction can be converted into the points or mileage or discount in the tuition fee in the form of benefit. You can see the example that is called the carbon neutrality-based energy independent campus. And these ideas are all coming from university students. The idea includes the vegan restaurant and using the RFID technology to handle the waste and use the public transportation. Those ideas are coming and were coming from university students. And the third case is from Seoul National University. It is related to the carbon emissions from cafeteria. So when we use the low carbon diet, a lot of carbon emissions can be reduced. So based on the number of people entering the Seoul National University, the carbon emissions could be reduced by about 461 tons of CO2. It is a significant amount of CO2 that can be generated by the electricity use by 70 households for a year. So low carbon diet and low carbon restaurants are becoming more widely spread these days. And the next one is about the Nabi stair, which is the stairs to generate electricity when people steps on the stairs. You can see this campaign and ideas are posted on the right side of the stairs. So when people put their steps on the stairs, the electricity is generated. So it induces people to reduce the use of elevator and take stairs. And at the same time, it can generate electricity. This kind of posters can be placed on the ceiling or wall like this. And the last idea is about the smartphone waste separation. These ideas are applied in many universities in Korea. And these are the prototype of the application design. And these ideas will be more promoted and activated. I shared 5 cases and innovative ideas from university students, and that's all for my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have a special speaker. I believe most of you have seen him on Korean TV shows. He recently opened his YouTube channel, and he is also sharing his experiences of saving the planet. Then let us meet the celebrity, Julian. Julian will present about the most powerful thing you can do. Please welcome him with a big round of applause.
Hello! Pleasure to see you, everybody. Hello, guys. You on my back, that's why I'm turning right now. Hello, hello. So actually, I saw in the introduction that they introduced me as an expert, which I'm not. I'm just actually a regular human being like all of you are and we are. But I'm very interested in climate issues. And as I've been introduced, I do TV here in Korea. I'm an entertainer. And I'm trying to use my voice to raise awareness about climate issues. Bonjour. So actually, I'm from Belgium, and it's been 18 years now that I live in Korea. And usually I do most of my speeches and my TV shows in Korean, so I'm more used to Korean. 그런데 여러분들이 아마도 한국어 조금 어렵다니까.
But I believe that Korean will
영어로
be a little bit
들어가겠습니다.
difficult
So
for
today
you
actually I'm
to
gonna do my speech in
understand.
English,
So,
and I hope you excuse me my very nice French accent, because I speak French as a first language. So, first of all, thank you all for being here today, because it's really nice to see so many people caring about climate issues, and especially students, and seeing such amount of energy among youth trying to fight the climate issue. I'm not going to go too deep into the basics. I'm sure everybody of you know we should try to stick under 1.5 degrees of global warming. And do you think we're on the right way? Well, we're not. We're not. It's not really the best way we are right now. As you can see, this is not only about China's emissions, but every emissions around the world are still rising, even though we had a global pandemic. And the latest news I can see was that we were at 1.2 degrees already, and we only allowed 1.5 degrees to be able to stick as living as we know it up to now. But we talk about the climate crisis, but it doesn't feel to me as we are handling it as a crisis. We had actually a crisis recently, right? You all know that we are right now still in the COVID-19 crisis. And how did we handle this? Well, we closed borders. We used our resources to fund what everybody thought was impossible. We were able to make a vaccine in a very short time. We took actions to stop people going outside of their home. So we took really drastic measures. And we're still not getting out of this crisis. So a crisis should be handled as a crisis, but I don't think right now we're handling the global warming crisis as it should. Some of you might know about this, but recently in Belgium and Germany, there was big floods around August. I think there's some German students here, maybe? Or from Belgium? No? I hope you've been fine. Your family was okay? It was not around that area? Okay, well, that's good to know. And actually, this happened really close to my home. But, you know, we always hear about environment crisis and linked to global change, to climate change, but we never really get to experience them. Actually, I didn't myself. Maybe some of you did. And so I wanted to have a feel for myself. So actually, I went to Belgium, and this is a picture I took myself over there. And you can see this home has been totally destroyed by the flood. And I really realized that it was not the future anymore. We are already in the climate crisis. I was able to talk to some guys there, and all their life, suddenly, in one day, finished. They worked all their life to build their home, buy their home. They had so much memories there, and now they're left with nothing but debris. It's a totally destroyed home. That made me sad, to be honest. And actually, I think most of you, maybe when you think about climate change, you don't have a great feeling, right? I experienced this strongly several years ago when I went to see a fashion show. And after the fashion show, I went to the parking lot to go into the car. And next to the parking lot, there was a big pile of trash. And actually, they were trashing all the materials from the fashion show I just watched directly there. And they had maybe 10 fashion shows the same day. And that day, I was I spent a week carrying my tumbler, and maybe I didn't drink 10 bottles of plastic, but the amount of waste I'm saving through my action compared to what is happening every hour at this fashion show was nothing. And I really felt despair. And I was like, do our actions don't matter compared to this such a big crisis that we're facing? In Korea, we call this 기후 우울증. In English, you can
Climate
translate this
blue.
to climate blues. It's when you realize that maybe the problem is too big and you can't do anything to solve it. And that's how I was several years ago. This was the pile of trash. Not the actual one, but just to show a bit the amount of trash I saw at the end of this. And then a friend of mine recommended me to watch a documentary called The Game Changers. Have any of you watched this documentary? Maybe yes, no? No? Okay, well, a new documentary to watch for you. I love documentaries, so I'm going to recommend another one after this too. This documentary is about athletes, really strong athletes, incredible athletes. There's MMA fighters, there's American football athletes, there's like the strongest men in the world, like competition attendants, there's like cycler, ultra marathon runners, a lot of athletes, and they all have one thing in common. They are all plant-based. They all eat a vegan diet. And actually, it shocked me, because I was always interested into like changing my diet to a more environment-friendly diet. But for me, it was always a dilemma between saving the earth or being healthy, because I was always taught that to get big, strong muscle, you need to eat meat. And this documentary showed me the opposite. And actually, everything is science-backed, so they tell you like all the studies that they've been looking at. And one of the guy there, you can see this picture of him. If you see him, you're not going to expect he's vegan, right? Like, he looks super strong and like the biggest meat eater you can meet. But he's totally vegan. And he won several world records for being the strongest man in the world. And everybody keeps asking him this question: how can you be as strong as an ox without eating meat? And what he says is, have you ever seen an ox eat meat? And then I was like, oh, wait a second, right. I've never seen a cow eat meat. And actually, all the strongest animals we know on Earth, like the elephant or the rhinoceros, they all plant-based. And even one of the closest animal we have, the gorilla, is also plant-based and very strong animal, right? And so I started to get a bit like disrupted, because everything I knew about health and how to be strong and healthy suddenly was shaked. And so I started to think, do things I know about our diets and the environment maybe were wrong? Maybe did I have the wrong facts? And so I started looking into it. And I'm going to share with you some of the few facts I learned. So first of all, you need to know that the meat consumption in the world is really rising high. As people get richer, they eat more meat. And you can see China has really got richer in the past days, and their meat consumption is really, really going higher. And I can tell you already that this is not going to be sustainable. So first of all, the Amazon. I'm sure all of you know that to save climate, we should save the Amazon. Well, the fastest way to save the Amazon is eat less beef. If you can see here, it's a map of all the fire happening in the Amazons. They don't cut wood to use it as wood. They just burn them because they want to use more space. Why do they use more space? To raise cattle or to actually grow feed, to feed the cattle. More than 80% of the Amazon deforestation is linked directly to the beef industry. I didn't know that it was that much. Greenhouse gas, you know that we all should like put less gas in the earth, in the sky, because or we're not going to meet our goal of 1.5 degrees. And so the number that usually people refer to is from the UN FAO, and they say that 14.5% of all gas emissions come from the meat and dairy industry. But if ever you look a bit more into it, they first said it was 18%, and then they said 14.5%. They changed suddenly their numbers. And if you go on the official site of the UNFAO, you can see that they have official sponsors, and the sponsor is the meat industry, the dairy industry, and the poultry industry. the feed industry. And that sounded a little bit weird for me, to be honest. And so I looked a bit more into it, and some other people took the numbers from the UNFAO and redid numbers, and they think that maybe 51% of the global emissions are from the animal agriculture. There's even another guy that did other research. They published this in a science paper recently, and they say that maybe 87% could be linked to agriculture, animal agriculture. Because if ever we use all the space that animals live on, we could reuse this space to make forest, and that could absorb again the CO2 and put it back onto Earth. So we could actually reverse some of the climate actions. I'm not going to tell you which number is right. To be honest, I'm very confused about this, but what I know for sure is that 14.5% is the number that the animal industry accepts, and it's going to be more than that. Fishing, well, you know that there's a big plastic pollution in the ocean. I'm sure you all heard about that. In the Pacific Ocean, there's something called the Big Plastic Island. And actually, in that ocean, more than 52% of that plastic mass is directly linked to fisheries because it's made out of plastic lines, rope, and fishing nets. I was so surprised when I learned about this. If you want to learn more about this, there's a nice documentary called Seaspiracy where they talk about the impact of fisheries on our environment. And then the pandemic risk, well, most of the pandemics were linked to animal farming because we put all these animals together, and through deforestation, we meet animals that we should not meet. Apparently, Ebola also came to us because we went too close to where the bats lived, and that's why we were infected by this disease. So many of the pandemic that we faced up to now were linked also to meat consumption. Actually, I see time is running out, so I won't have time to go in everything, but what you need to know is that there's a bit funding in the industry. These are the numbers, and all these fundings are way more than what we would need to save world hunger. And they say that the cost of meat in the USA would normally need to raise at least 3 times, which would mean that the Mac burger, a Big Mac, would cost around $15, which I don't think I would buy a Big Mac for $15. Anyway, let's move a bit into this. And what I want to say is that I don't want to eat a salad every day. And people think that, vegan diet, plant-based diet is just carrots and salad. And I want to show you wrong, because plant-based food is super tasty these days. Here are some of my favorite plant-based food. This is chicken made out of mushrooms. This is a pepperoni pizza, of course, vegan place. This is eggs they made out of beans. And it scrambles just like an egg scramble. It tastes the same. I tried it recently. All my friends were bluffed. This is Beyond Burger. It tastes almost the same as a real beef burger. This is sushi made out of fruits. And this is a kamjatang. It's Korean food made out of plants. These are really nice restaurants that you can see. And tell me that this looks like rabbit food. To be honest, when I see this, my mouth is like... I went to this restaurant yesterday, and the cream pasta there, oh my, woo, mwah. I wish we could all gather. If you come to Korea next time, I'll invite you. Let's go eat over there, okay? Here is some Korean food. They make kamjatang, but as plant-based option. And this is food I made myself. And you don't need to go full vegan. There's this stuff called Meatless Monday. You take 1 day off meat and eat more fruits and vegetables. It's good for you and it's good for the planet. There's several applications also you can see. Happy Cow is a global application to see the plant-based restaurants around your place. What I learned when I start to go plant-based is that the power is in us. If you see on the top left, Danone, which is one of the biggest dairy industry in the world, are moving more and more of the industry towards plant-based milk alternatives. And McDonald's and Burger King released all plant-based version of their Big Mac and their hamburgers. Why do you think this happened? Do you think that suddenly Danone and McDonald's decided, oh, we love the earth, we're gonna save the planet? Do you think that's what happened? Or do you think people like you and me ask for this? And then they're like, okay, we need to actually change because people are changing. They want us to show that we care about the planet, the environment, and maybe the animals. this is what happened in Korea also. You can see that several companies started to go towards more plant-based options. You can see also recently there's a car company that's a subsidiary of Hyundai that said that from 2025, all their car will be electric. This change to happen because we asked for it. We really should remember that any change that happened in society always came from us. And that's when I start to get confidence that we actually can maybe make a real change. Don't forget that every day you buy something, you're voting. You vote for that company. You say, I want more product like this. Every time you actually vote also, you're doing something. Because you say, I want more people that take care of the climate or social issues. And together, that's when we really make change. And we prove that we can make change. If McDonald's start to release vegan burgers, well, we've said everything. Change can happen. We've proved it. So don't get in despair. And remember, vote. Vote actually for politicians that care about climate actions, and vote in your everyday life by consuming less products that impact the environment. Thank you very much for today's talk. I hope you liked it. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you for the great presentation, Julian. So does anyone have a question for Julian?
Feel free to ask questions if you have some questions.
Okay,
Raise
so
your
I
hand.
see
Oh.
Sangi with her hand up. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. Bonjour. First of all, thank you for giving me a chance to introduce myself. My name is Sangi Lee, and I study at the University of Paris 8, Vincennes-Saint-Denis, in France.
Vous parlez français?
And, yeah, oui. And yeah, Julian, thank you for your enlightening and humorous presentation about eco-friendly eating habits and the problems of diverse industries. And let me just ask a further question then. Sure. So I have participated in the Youth Forum of the 2018 World Leaders Conservation Forum in Jeju.
Wow.
And during the forum, a British BBC television presenter and explorer, Paul Rose, he said that he had a moment when he strongly felt the beauty of nature since he was a child, and since then he began to take interest in environmental conservation. So I wondered what made you take interest in the environment, and if there was a moment like this for you too.
Well, thank you so much for your question, and I'm really happy to see that you took a lot of actions and participating in this forum also. And I mean, I saw a lot of people that like the environment, and I can tell that a lot of people usually were in close contact with the nature. And I myself come from a very, very small hometown in Belgium of only 24 houses. There's more cows than people in my hometown. And I think that once you live there, you can really, you're so close in contact that you feel that you don't have to destroy it, right? So that really did a big change. But I think more than that, the impact of my parents was very important. My parents always cared a lot about the environment, and they had organic shop product. They opened a little organic product shop in my hometown, which is only like, my hometown is small, but then there's a little bit bigger city next to it of 20,000 people. And everybody thought they were crazy because in the 80s, nobody cared about, as much as now, about organic products, but they decided to open it. And I think that had a big impact on me. So I really think that the impact we have on others is really important. And I think all of you, all of us, the impact we have on our families, on our friends, is really what makes people change. Because I got this education through my parents, I think it really influenced me a lot and decided and pushed me to take more actions. So yeah, I really think that the power of people close to you and our teachers, our friends is what really makes people change a lot, yeah. I hope I answered your question. What about you, actually? I'm interested. Why did you start to, if I can ask a question, it's fine. Why did you start to get interested in environments?
just like you, from my parents, also, I get this kind of education, and also this is the only planet, so yeah, we need to take action.
And yeah, we want to stay on planet 1 because there's not the planet B, right? So thank you so much for the question.
Thank you.
So thank you, Julian and Sang-Yi, for such great communication. And so far, we've listened to special lectures from environmental experts. Then let us take a break for about 15 minutes. And after 15 minutes, we'll continue with the third session. Thank you all. Goodbye. The third session will begin in about 5 minutes, so please stay connected and stay online so we can continue with our third session in 5 minutes. Thank you. Ta-da! Welcome back, everyone. Next, a performance by college environmentalists will unfold, urging us to take action for the future. University student representatives and 100 students who are participating online will deliver a message that now is the time for us to take action, regardless of the time difference between the nations. So let us welcome them with a big round of applause.
The greed of humans has caused the climate crisis, and consistent economic growth has indiscriminately destroyed nature. The reason why we are experiencing inconvenience in our daily lives, the reason why we're suffering disasters, is the result of our choices.
IPCC Climate Change Assessment Report states that it is unequivocal that humans are responsible for climate crisis. Humans' desire to pursue only convenience disrupted the balance of the earth, and it ultimately led to climate crisis. As a result, we are going through unexperienced abnormal climate, and the future of human extinction due to global warming has approached right before our eyes, not beyond decades or hundreds of years. The tipping point for the Earth to endure is the year 2040, and that is less than 20 years from now on.
Every day, we face chances to make choices. Will you make choices just for your own interest and convenience again, ignoring the Earth that is going to vanish? Will you not even give a try to change yourself, thinking, I alone, I'm fine? Someday, we might lose the chance to make a choice.
For now, we still have a chance to take action, but nobody can guarantee until when this chance will be given to us. Therefore, the chance to change the world is now or never. We have to take action now for our future environment we will live in.
Now
is the time to change for the future.
Today, we have promised to take action for the future. All of you, please join us.
Yeah, thank you. I could feel how determined university students are in taking actions for the environment. And I hope the whole world to join us in taking actions for the sustainable Earth. And now it's time for us to hear the voices of university students about environmental protection. Nowadays, young people are facing diverse problems: employment, marriage, human relationships, studies, student loans, and matter of their livelihood. We are confronted with different problems because we are all living in different conditions. However, the environmental problem is a common problem to all the people living on this earth. So we should get rid of our thought that it has nothing to do with me. There are young people like one of us who are striving to save our planet and change our world even when people don't give them attention. So let us find out who these students are through the video.
India's Majuli Island was once a lush oasis for animals to run around. One day, people came and started recklessly cutting down trees. Not even a single tree was left in the land. After severe and repeated droughts and floods, only barren land remained. To this place, which seemed to be hopeless, came Jadav Payang, a 16-year-old boy. He was deeply saddened to see forests disappear and wild animals die. So he called government agencies and asked villagers for help. However, no one answered. What he could do was plant trees himself. He single-handedly started planting trees one by one. He never stopped even on hot sunny days or rainy days. He continued planting trees over 4 decades, and eventually, the boy grew up and became a father. What happened to Majuli Island, which was once a barren land? The result was amazing. A dense forest was created. It was about 1.7 million square meters in size, which is a forest bigger than Central Park in New York. As if a miracle occurred, the greenery thickly covered the expansive land. It has become a home to elephants, Bengal tigers, deer, and other wild animals.
When I first started planting trees in this barren land, I thought to myself that my efforts might be meaningless. However, as time passed by, the trees took root and spread the seeds themselves.
His labor was not in vain. He was the man who transformed sandbars into a forest and created miracles in a barren land. He is the one who changed the world. The dense forest of Majuli Island began with the hard work and practice of one person. If one person changes, if one person takes action, the world can change. And here are young people who are changing the world.
Hello, my name is Minishin. I'm studying in Sungkyunkwan University in South Korea.
Hello everyone, my name is Jungyo Kim, and I'm the student of Seoul National University.
Hi everyone, my name is Shamin Vong and I am a third-year student at the Singapore Management University.
Many people told me that they thought the environmental actions were only done by the influencer or the environmental activist. Actually, this is definitely not true. I want to say some words to people who hesitated the environmental actions. You can make a change in your life.
Sometimes you might feel like there's no one participate in my activity, or maybe I'm too overreacting to environmental issues. But remember that you just didn't find someone who's doing these issues.
It's okay to be clueless about our environment or simply not knowing where to begin. But what is not okay is turning away and think that the environmental issues that we are facing today isn't a problem. I believe change is not passive. It starts from us, the young generation. We are the future because we are the ones who will live to see the consequences in the years to come, depending on the actions that we take today.
Protecting the earth is not only for the earth, but also is for yourself.
So don't give up.
Let us rise and be the change that we want to see in the world today.
Show your influence.
Show your influence.
Show your influence.
Get your future. In your future, your nature.
Get your future, your nature.
We cannot save our planet in an instant like the heroes in the movie. However, when our thoughts shift from my convenience to our future, and when our daily habits shift for the environment, and when I become we can save our world from climate crisis. Now let me introduce the examples of university students who are changing the world. The team Pierre Omidyar English Club from Gabon will give their presentation. Please welcome them with a big round of applause.
Hello everyone, my name is Sang Sang Zeklud. I am a member of Pierre Omidyar English Club in University of Lisege in Gabon. Saying no to plastic. Plastic containers are convenient to use. They are inexpensive. They are light. They are durable. They are very in size and shape which facilitate their transportation. And they are often easier to make compared to all types of containers. Years ago, it would have been difficult to fathom that people would mainly drink out of plastic bottles. It was a commodity that no one knew about. Nowadays, it's hard to see soft beverages or cosmetic products in containers that are not made of plastic. According to a UN report by 2015, 6.9 billion tons of waste are produced worldwide. 9% were recycled, 12% were incinerated, and 79% were accumulated in landfill or in nature. In our country, Gabon, the city of Libreville alone produced 600 tons of waste per day, and 70% of this waste are made of plastic. Let's play through the video. Okay, our activity mostly consisted on team meetings, team outings, and increasing our visibility on social media. Among the activity we have done is the garbage collection. For this activity, we were reinforced by a few volunteers in our university. The garbage collection happened 4 times between July 14th to August 28th. The goals were to identify the type of waste in our area and divide it into 2 categories. On one end, we had an organic pile with anything is perishable, and on the other end, we have the inorganic pile with everything is recyclable and everything else. The second activity we did is to talk to students about the net zero goals for 2015. We went to different classrooms and presented in front of our classmates to let them know how about our activity, volunteering opportunities, and to discuss the importance of becoming steward for the environment. The detrimental effect of our single-use plastic on the environment and how pressing it is to use better alternatives. We explained that as consumer, we can impact supplier and change the market's dynamic. The more we encourage plastic packaging, the more we will have it. Our last and main activity was to create online content to educate people about plastic pollution. We came up with 2 videos. In one, introducing the concept of net zero 2015, and the second one, where we show in a comical way that plastic is scary, and we also posted several pictures revealing some of our activity. As a team, we observed that the commodity made of plastic that we use more frequently is bottled water. During the first week of this project, we decided to not throw away the bottles we have bought, to have a clear idea of what our consumption looks like. The first week, we were able to gather 27 bottles. The second week, we decided to stop consuming water in plastic bottles over time as we started focusing on reusable containers. We noticed that our consumption of single-use bottles decreasing over time. We went from 27 bottles the first week to 18 the second one, and a lesser number the following week. Okay, to stop the crisis, the plastic crisis, we need to first identify the reason why people resort to bottled water. In Gabon, an issue would be the quality of water. People out of fear, justified or not, to turn tap water. A fast and simple way to solve this problem would be to promote the use of water filter. A clean water at home would facilitate the utilization of reusable containers and reduce waste. At the institutional level, our government could enforce laws to ban single-use plastic and promote alternative packaging as paper packaging or glass packaging. Moreover, establishing public drinking fountains, and that could help to reduce the need for bottled drinking. Each year, we produce waste. We produce an alarming amount of waste. We produce plastic waste, but we do not recycle. Another way to help to be to have more companies that focus solely on plastic transforming. Our main goal during this project was to vulgarize the concept of plastic pollution, which is, without a doubt, one of the biggest issues of this century. To find this pollution, we need to do better. We need to change our habits. we need to choose to be inconvenient or uncomfortable for the greater good. We believe that small steps can bring big changes, and for us, it starts with saying no to plastic. Thank you.
Thank you for awesome presentation. Next, let us meet the team Haute Couture from France. Please give them a big round of applause.
Hello everyone. Bonjour. My name is Rania. I'm a 19-year-old fashion student in Paris suburbs, and today I will be the representative of the French DAEJAYON team. So our presentation is titled Innovation that Changes Customs, Fashion for All of Us. In order to move towards the achievement of net zero goal, we decided to focus our project on the fashion industry, one of the top pollutants in the world. Food, clothing, and shelter form the requisites of our life. So in order to achieve net zero, we thought that we should make changes in food, clothing, and shelter, which are the indispensable elements of our lives. And especially nowadays, clothing has become a culture beyond its original purpose. For example, there are fashion companies and industries leading the trend, and people follow the trend. This trend, which we call fashion, can lead all of us to a good way, but also to a wrong way. So we decided to focus on clothing as a theme of our project. Fashion cannot be discussed without France because France is the fashion capital of the world. High-end fashion is a symbol of French culture. In addition, 3 of the largest luxury brands are French: Chanel, Hermès, and Louis Vuitton. Therefore, our country, and more specifically Paris, is the home to many other of them, and it makes up one of France's most lucrative industries. Let's now watch a quick video to put this into perspective. So as we can see, the most popular luxury brands shown in the video started in France and dominate high-end fashion around the world. It results in many tourists coming to France to specifically buy luxury bags or shoes on purpose. However, if there is a bright side of the market, there is also a dark one. In fact, the enormous environmental pollution and carbon emissions lay behind the fashion world's glittering facade. In the first instance, the most popular luxury brands destroy their unsold merchandise every year to maintain exclusivity and high prices. Many high-end brands, including Chanel, Hermès, and Louis Vuitton, avoid discounted sales at all costs and participate in this mass destruction practice. There are tangible reasons for this: maintaining a good brand image, preventing theft, or controlling inventory. Nevertheless, not everyone supports this situation. In 2019, the French government strongly opposed these destructive practices and sought to abolish them. Incineration of numerous decent goods worth millions of dollars can never be environmentally friendly. On the top of it, many acknowledge how polluted the environment is every time a fashion week and fashion show is held. According to the report of Zero to Market by fashion technology org.com, in collaboration with climate change consultancy, the Carbon Trust, published in 2020, it contributes to 241,000 tons of CO2 emissions annually. As I explained, the massive environmental impact caused by destructive practices of the fashion industry, we paid attention to abandoned fabrics to build our project. we collected and recycled the fabric that was thrown away by a fashion school. We invited fashion students to participate in the activities with us and raised awareness on environmental pollution. The abandoned fabric was reborn as a multi-purpose pouch, and these pouches were distributed to students who participated in the project. Therefore, we worked on finding solutions that could contribute both to the industry and the future actors and CEOs of the industry. One of the most discussed issues in fashion studies is the ecological impact. However, although it is well known and taught, the subject remains deeply buried whenever opportunities to find and put in practice solutions to the problem arise. And there is one big reason for that. Learning skills comes before the ecological awareness of the school. Educating students is efficient and needed, but we also must work with teachers who never focused on that side of education before. Finding new ways of teaching and witnesses to testify about the terrible impact of fashion is an imperative. We cannot continue to look the other way because our country is not the one that suffers from our actions and ways of consuming. Organizations that teach future fashion designers and workers of the fashion industry must be aware of this problem and introduce a new method of education. Therefore, we believe that the school must take the lead in education reform so that it can keep pace with the present age. One of the proposals we suggest would be to create partnerships between schools and companies. For companies, we urge them to form an alliance with fashion school to take responsibility for the enormous environmental impact of the apparel industry, rather than focus on the commercial role of their businesses to recycle discarded fabrics and products in more innovative ways. Companies lose money storing up dead stuff fabrics and often end up destroying usable goods. Partnering with a school that is in constant need of material to work would be a great opportunity to stop one of the mechanisms of overpollution. And in this partnership, the school can study and develop research experiments for the eco-friendly textile industry of this age and the future, and build an alternative to numerous pollution caused by the garment industry together with companies. France's high-end clothing industry has always been ahead of its time and has surprised people with new styles. Now, for the planet, for all of us, this global trendsetter should be the first to tell us what is true innovation and what is the right fashion. Of course, as the entire human race is approaching the tipping point of irreversible climate change, the right fashion for us, the right clothes, are those that take the environment and the future into account. If we change the way we dress, then we gradually will be able to change our whole lifestyle, including food and shelter. Thus, we firmly believe that as one of the major sources of global emissions, the fashion sector holds the key to responding to the world's climate challenge. This brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, merci beaucoup. Lastly, the team All Green from Korea will give their presentation. Please welcome them with a big round of applause.
Hello everyone. This is Team All Green participated in Net Zero 2050 Eco Universiade. Our team focused on the issue of carbon emissions in delivery and packaging services in Korea. And through this project, we want to improve the awareness of university students. Korea is well known as the heaven of delivery food. Wherever we are, how much we need, whatever we want, we can simply place an order just by using delivery apps. This Korean delivery service has been increasingly loved since eating out is decreased by COVID-19. However, As the delivery service grows stronger, the use of disposable products has been greatly increased nowadays. How much are you aware of this seriousness? As disposable containers are emitting more carbon than reusable ones, they cause damage to the environment. If the food is delivered once a day, the carbon emissions of the disposable containers will be 330.4 grams CO2e per week. This is why we concentrate on carbon emissions in the delivery services. For the next step, we needed to decide whom to target. So we targeted university students as the main target of our project. There are many restaurants and single-person households around the universities. In this situation, delivery and packaging uses are bound to increase, and the resulting disposable products problems is also serious. We will watch a video showing the problems of disposable products caused by food delivery and packaging services around universities in Korea. So we thought that improving the awareness of university students is the most important one. Then now, let's move on to the main topic, the activities we performed. As a prior activity, we conducted an online survey with 150 university students to investigate the perception of theirs. As a result, 62.5% answered that the main reason for students' uses of disposable products is from delivery and packaging services. Most respondents agreed COVID-19 increased the number of food delivery and packaging uses. However, only 11% of them were completely aware of the seriousness caused by disposable items, even though 2.1 billion plastic containers were produced in 2020. Therefore, our team carried out a variety of activities ranging from smart practice method to building universities, delivery platforms, and local government networks. First of all, we created a window to inform many people of our team's goal. And then we let the students to participate in the plastic-free challenge by producing card news and next-level event. By promoting the stores that took part in plastic-free store certification system, we helped students to participate more easily in reducing carbon emissions. And we shared Instagram filter made by ourselves during plastic-free challenge. It was to let them know it is not difficult to join in environmental protection activities. As a result, about 50 people participated in plastic-free challenge after seeing card news and promotional articles on our official SNS. Now, we can calculate how much we reduced the carbon emissions. Despite the short-term activities, there was meaningful difference in carbon emissions between the use of disposable and reusable containers. Finally, we found that there has to be the long-term system for motivating consumers to use reusable containers. Accordingly, in cooperation with Ina University Tradespeople Association, we implemented the Plastic-Free Store certification system. Plastic-free store certification system is for changing consumers' perception, which is familiar with disposable packaging. We visited the store to investigate how to use reusable containers suitable for its stores, and attached certification marks to promote consumers' reusable packaging. After, we confirmed through offline interview with shopkeepers that the proportion of those who use reusable containers increased 10 times compared to before. Also, it could be a great motivation for consumers who are ashamed to use reusable containers as well. In another interview, there was an opinion. So according to this opinion, our team thought it would be nice to expand the application of the plastic-free certification certification mark in online and offline by collaborating with the delivery platform. 배달의 민족, a representative delivery platform, currently provides information on stores nearby where we can take out food. If we put the plastic-free store certification mark into them, we can easily encourage the consumers to package food by themselves. Through these activities, our team felt inducing behavior through improving environmental awareness was more important than anything else. Impressed by our activities, the media reported our plastic-free store certification system. The meaningful result of the plastic-free challenge and plastic-free store certification system informed us of what should we do in the next step. Therefore, we would like to propose education to improve awareness to university students. We had time to plan for the establishment of an environmental awareness network of delivery platforms, universities, and local governments. We realized it through previous activity, students need to take educational programs in universities to improve environmental awareness. And we thought that cooperation between delivery platforms, universities, and local governments must be achieved to make good education in university. By collecting data from the delivery platform, data that's suitable for local environmental issues can be provided. And it can be converted into educational materials to foster eco-friendly leaders' talents at universities. Furthermore, it is possible to establish a leading eco-friendly policy plan of delivery platforms from students after education and support from local governments. Through this network, we can expect the university students can get the following 3 opportunities as well. First, they can directly lead the delivery platforms. And 2, they can propose the new system or policies in connection with the local governments. And third, they can chance to cultivate talents. In this regard, universities, local governments, and companies should cooperate to actively lead the environmental changes in which university students can easily join. Lastly, what we want to say is that the active movements of university students are essential to actualize Net Zero 2050 in Korea. It is so clear that the changes in the awareness of university students is an important key to save the Earth, because we are the leaders for future generations. Thank you for listening my presentation.
Thank you, All Green, for your time and effort to reduce carbon emissions generated from food delivery. For the last event, we'll have an award ceremony. The award is given to an outstanding team among the teams that took action to achieve the goal of net zero emissions in Eco Universiade for Net Zero 2050, which has been hosted by DAEJAYON and sponsored by Korea Ministry of the Interior and Safety and Korea Ministry of Environment. And the award ceremony will be held online to prevent the spread of COVID-19. So please give the award-winning teams a big round of applause. Thank you and congratulations to all teams. The only good planet in the solar system. This is the only good one, I promise you. We have to take care of it. This is what Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, said after he came back from his space travel in July. The science and technology have been developed enough to go on space travels, but the only planet we can live in is this Earth. The planet with best conditions for humans to live is this Earth. However, this planet is becoming a place where people can no longer live in. The Earth has been destroyed by human selfishness and indifference, and now it is threatening our survivals. And we are the ones to restore the Earth that we have destroyed and changed. We still have a chance, but no one knows how much time we have, so we have to act now. I wish today's forum will be a turning point for everyone to achieve environmental protection and carbon neutrality. Then by this, we'll bring an end to today's Global Environment Forum for University Students 2021. Thank you.